Hello, welcome back. Okay, we're going to get deep on this one. I want to talk about the car again, the magic of the interior of the car, how it works with conversations, because so many memories in the car. And people love road trips, and we all wonder why. It's not the scenery. You sit beside somebody that you know and get along with, because otherwise you wouldn't trap them in a car for like 4 or 5 hours. What did I want to see here? I wrote this down. Getting organized. Uh, so, what is it about the physical setup of the car? I want to talk about that. The limited distractions that happen because they don't. It's not like sitting in a cafe sort of thing. The time and motion, how it helps the conversation. Sense of privacy, obviously. Ambiance, and how it being a shared experience in a car that gets people to talk when they normally would. Who wouldn't want to know about this stuff? Okay, I gotta get going here. I'm gonna be late for home. Okay, physical setup. Yes. Well, here's the thing. It's not the only place. It's not the only place where you're like enclosed with somebody. Which is this is what makes it really weird. You could say, well, you're locked together in a car for, half an hour, 2 hours, a trip to the store, whatever it is. You could say the same thing about an elevator, and I don't know. I've never had a deep conversation in an elevator. If you have, share. I got to hear that story. And I'm sure other people would be interested. What I did, like, I went to psych school, and I took the clinical counseling route, clinical therapy, clinical psychology thing. And I did lots of work as counselor. I mentioned it in my last video, women like to speak face to face, eye contact, the whole thing. Guys, in general, side by side, not looking and staring into each other's eyes while they're revealing their deepest secrets. you know. But even like the funny thing is that my sister brought that up, and she goes, maybe it's because she's with boys, and that seems to work. But I can say that about anybody sitting in the passenger seat, or even when I'm in the passenger seat and they're driving. Could be a woman, could be a guy, could be my mom, could be my daughter. The talks still happen. And same thing with an elevator. You don't stand looking face to face to people. You try not to. You try to avoid eye contact and things. You're standing side by side. I'm using an elevator just as it's another enclosed space. You're traveling for a little bit with somebody. You're both, it's the same idea. Maybe public and maybe with a complete stranger, and you won't let a complete stranger in you. But I mean, I've ridden in elevators with people that I know, people I love, people I get along with, and you don't get that. Same thing with a bus. Uh, Limited distractions, yeah. So you're sitting at home. Maybe you got the TV going. Maybe the furnace is going. Maybe there's other people sitting around the table. I do know with counseling, it is one on one, it is in a room, and as the counselor, you try to put yourself between the person and the door, Not always, but as a general rule. And you find out quickly how they like to be listened to, the client, how they like to be listened to, whether it is face to face, whether it is off to the side, you know. And we're taught in counseling, you assume a certain position, how to actively listen, listening, you give prompts, you parrot back what they say. There's a lot of training and stuff, and there's a lot of things that happen with counseling and therapy with a therapist, and you're locked in that room with them for you to open up about your deepest, darkest secrets, to have a real, deep, genuine conversation. Because if you don't have a deep conversation with your counselor or therapist or somebody that you've chosen to go see and talk to, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. It's a waste. It's a waste. The whole thing's a waste. But it naturally happens in a car. You're able to broach subjects. So you're sitting at home and there's other people there. Maybe that's a thing. And maybe the stove is going, the washer's going, or a cafe. I've done that where I've gone to cafes to break up with people or talk about something that has to be addressed, and you didn't want it to be in private or at your house or something like that. But you don't have people milling around. You don't have the cash register going. You don't have people complaining or somebody else laughing. You know, and the car limits the distractions. You get passive intrusions, usually of calm type, the landscape going by, some sort of nature, even in a city, buildings going past. You get a sense of, I'll cover it later, but the time and motion, that helps too. But, well, actually, that leads me to the next one. Could have been a good segue. The fact that you're with somebody and you both have a purpose, you have a destination. So already you're on a journey together. That puts you two people, or whoever else is in the car, that group of people, on a quest. If it's you and your passenger, it's the two of you against everything else out there. That kind of, gives you a little bit of a bond. Um, and especially with long drives, you got the hum of the tires. Maybe you got some engine noise. Maybe you can hear the wind going. You know, it creates a flow because it's not jerky, right? All of it's kind of just everything's going in one direction, and so it helps the conversation flow. I'm guaranteed the science behind this. Because if you've ever been to a massage therapist and they put the aromatic things on, or some weird trancy hippy dippy music on, helps you relax, and while you're laying there on the table you're like, oh, this is awesome. But your mind, if you've got an internal monologue, will help you process thoughts. Absolutely. And with this sense of motion, you're traveling along this road. You're meeting obstacles like red lights or yield signs or other cars, and you overcome them. And you're overcoming them together with another person. And that's what do you call it? A metaphor, a simile, a metaphor for how your thoughts are going. You're they're running. You hit a thing, you get through it, and it helps you with the flow of the conversation. The sense of privacy, and that's why I think an elevator doesn't work, right? Even if it, but maybe if you're lucky and you're ending up in a long elevator ride with somebody you know really well, and you end up having a deep conversation alone in an elevator. I could see that happening because there's nobody else going to get in this car, unless they're jacking you with a gun or something like that. But even then, you just drive off. You know, Nobody's going to come in and intrude this. The sphere of silence. What happens in the car stays in the car. That might be the title of this video. Yeah, and when you got a sense of privacy, you're more willing to share. Absolutely. And that's why therapists create that room. That's why a massage therapist creates it, because you're vulnerable on that table, half naked, laying there with a stranger. That you got to feel safe. You got to feel safe to let the tension out, to let the stress out, to be able to say what you really want to say, to let yourself be yourself. And it's amazing that a car will do this. Ambiance. Yeah, the background noise. Like I said, the hum of the tires on the road. You might have soft music playing in the background. People sleep with washing machines or dryers going. Like I do that too. That white noise that helps you zone out, helps you forget about what's going on there in the world. That way it helps you focus. Shared experience. Yeah, I said this before. You're on a shared experience with this person. You're on this journey, even if it is 10 minutes to the store. You might have been talking about a subject before you left the house, and then somebody says, okay, you know what? I have to go pick this up. Let's continue this in the car. And you get into the car with that person, you're going to the grocery store, whatever it is, and then you start spilling your guts. You're on that journey together. It's two of you against the world. You're in a private setting. And in that way, you can really feel connected with another person. And this is something that's kind of it, hit and miss. But I think, today's younger generation having to not be able to afford cars, riding bicycles, doing their skateboards or their unicycle thing, or their skateboards, or their um, taking the bus, public transportation. They miss out on this. And people love going for road trips. I didn't know it was a thing. You know, I used to just get in my car and I would just go drive around for hours. No destinations, no nothing. A lot of times I'd just go drive to find a nice road that I could do some quick, fun bits on. But really, I just drove around. And I did that with my friends too. And in that way, we could connect in ways that we couldn't when we went to the bar. We went to events together. Like here in Edmonton, it's Expo Days now or whatever that they have. Used to be Klondike Days. Uh, sporting events. We'd all go play sports together, or we'd all go watch sports together. The hockey game or basketball. Go watch university teams playing. You know, and yeah, it was fun. We all had a good time, you know. But the most memorable times that I've had with my friends is said, hey, let's get in the car, let's go to Calgary for lunch. Or hey, let's get in the car, we'll skip the afternoon and we'll go fishing over somewhere. I know this lake. We'll just go play around in the water. And if any of my friends are watching this from back in the day, you'll know exactly which memories those are, right? And it wasn't the destination. The destination gave us an excuse to be pile up in the car and bullshit with one another for hours. No TV was going, didn't have to pay attention to that. Maybe there was the radios, but usually what happened is that people were talking and people were talking, over talking each other. And you couldn't get that at a party, you know. Yeah. So I want to ask anybody who's watching this, you know, if any one of these things that you can relate to, I find it very interesting, more than interesting. Like, once I started thinking, I quickly threw out the topic there the other day and made a quick video about it. And today I wanted to explore it a little bit more in depth because, you know, it is kind of a magic atmosphere here. And here's the other weird thing about it. I watch people doing YouTube now, and a lot of them are doing it in their car. Some people are out hiking or walking around, things like that, trying to find the quiet place so that, you can do the whole video and the voice thing. But the big thing is, a lot of them are saying some really incredibly smart, insightful stuff, and they're in their cars, just like this one. Let me know in the comments. If you heard something you liked, hit the like button. Consider subscribing, because this is just starting, and it's going places. See you on the next one.